News this morning. After being placed on administrative leave last week, a top drug regulator has submitted his resignation. And the Supreme Court will hear oral arguments about the legality of President Trump's tariff policy.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday to you, Mountain family. I'm Amelia Lee here with you on this November 4th, just about 5 o'clock this morning, and of course ready for a check of our weather with meteorologist Megan Dusmall. Megan, we've got that fog out this morning. I know especially here in Hazard and Perry County, it was like a wall of fog.
Yeah, and that's the way it's going to be all across Eastern Kentucky this morning. Now, we're looking at the patchy, dense fog for a lot of folks across the WYMT viewing area, but specifically for our far southern counties, we're in that dense fog advisory for our Tennessee and Virginia counties, Lee and Wise to be particular. But just because they are seeing the most dense fog, again, as I mentioned, does not mean that you're not going to run into patches of fog here and there all throughout the region. So just keep that in mind as you're starting off your day. I mean, it's going to be a foggy start to the next couple of days. So that trend's not going to go away for a little bit. But in terms of what we're seeing on satellite and radar this morning, a relatively clear day in terms of cloud cover. We'll be looking at partly cloudy skies throughout your day with current temperatures in a mixture of the upper 30s and low 40s and high temperatures for the day in the low to mid 60s, about on average for this time of year. Amelia.
Thanks, Megan. Indiana State Police have arrested a Campbell County, Tennessee man in connection with a 1996 rape reported in Scott County. The investigation began in September 1996. Police responded to a report from a woman who said that she was raped after leaving a lounge with two men. The victim provided a name that she believed was a man who assaulted her, but his DNA did not match that of the attacker. In June of this year, Indiana State Police Forensics Advanced DNA Technology had identified a close genetic relative to the original suspect profile. Police identified 53-year-old Sammy Wayne Riley as the suspect. Riley was arrested and taken into police custody on November 1st on one count of rape committed by using or threatening the use of force. He's being held at the Scott County Jail. A top drug regulator at the Food and Drug Administration has stepped down. Officials say George Tidmarsh submitted his resignation over the weekend after being placed on administrative leave Friday. Tidmarsh reportedly posted a critical comment about a new drug made by a Canadian pharmaceutical company. According to the since-deleted post, Tidmarsh said the new drug had significant toxicity. The company filed a lawsuit Sunday accusing Tidmarsh of making false statements and soliciting a bribe. An intense battle is underway for each and every vote in next year's midterm elections. And today, the nation's eyes are on California. Voters there will decide if their state should change its congressional map to give Democrats an edge. Gwen Gardner reports from Los Angeles on what's at stake.
California voters are facing just one question on the ballot, yes or no on Proposition 50. Some of the Democratic Party's biggest names are urging a yes.
With Prop 50, you have the power.
Prop 50 is a plan to temporarily redraw the state's voting districts to flip as many as 5 House seats from red to blue. Governor Gavin Newsom led the campaign in response to Texas redistricting, which was at President Trump's request.
This would, if it passes, potentially have the effect of negating what was done in Texas.
California Republican Congressman David Valadao worries the farming communities he represents could get drawn into districts that don't recognize rural concerns.
It's a totally different world than what a lot of members understand.
Millions of Californians have already cast their ballots in early voting, and a new poll by CBS News found Prop 50 is likely to pass.
It kind of just feels like it's the only option, in terms of preserving democracy for everyone else.
And with more than half a dozen other states either redrawing their congressional maps or considering it, House leaders are watching closely.
Democrats have made clear that we are going to respond, as is being done in California right now.
Here's UCLA law professor Rick Hassan.
This is starting a kind of redistricting war that doesn't seem to have any end other than when all the states that can do more partisan gerrymandering do more partisan gerrymandering.
If Prop 50 is approved, the Democrats could control as many as 48 of California's 52 congressional seats after next year's election. Gwen Baumgartner, CBS News, Los Angeles.
CBS News polling found most Californians who are voting yes on Prop 5 say they're doing it to oppose President Trump. Well, it's election day for millions of Americans. Key races in New York City, New Jersey, and Virginia could be a bellwether for what to expect in next year's midterm elections. President Trump yesterday weighed in, telling Republicans that a vote for Democrats is a, quote, death wish, except for in New York City, where he's endorsed a former Democratic political adversary.
We need a mayor who can stand up to Donald Trump, who can get the funding that New York deserves.
President Trump has endorsed New Jersey's GOP gubernatorial candidate, though he has not done the same for Virginia's. Meanwhile, billionaire Elon Musk weighed in on the New York City mayor's race, also endorsing former Governor Cuomo. His opponents both slammed the endorsement and bashed Cuomo's approval of nearly $1 billion in subsidies for a solar panel company later bought by Musk-owned Tesla back when he was governor. This week, the Supreme Court will hear oral arguments about the legality of President Donald Trump's tariff policy. The case will consider whether the president had the legal authority to impose tariffs by using a law known as the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. That law gives the president the ability to set tariffs in a national emergency. American businesses have paid nearly $90 billion to cover the tariffs being challenged. Open enrollment through the Affordable Health Care Act has started, but Americans may be shocked by the prices for 2026. Insurers are charging a lot more, and that number could skyrocket for low-income families if lawmakers don't extend federal subsidies that cut their costs. KFAF, a nonprofit focused on health policy, recently looked at monthly costs for health care coverage and found insurers are raising premiums nearly 26% next year. But if you take away subsidies on top of the increases, the cost will be even higher.
We're expecting that on average, premium payments are going to more than double. That's a 114% increase.
KFF says average monthly premium costs could go from $800 to as much as $1,900 in 2026. The federal tax credits are set to expire at the end of the year. Even a modest amount of physical activity can delay Alzheimer's disease for years. That's according to a new Mass General Brigham study that showed people who walked 3,000 to 5,000 steps a day saw cognitive decline delayed for 3 years on average. For people who walked 5,000 to 7,000 steps, delayed cognitive decline for 7 years. Researchers recommend increasing your daily activity because every step counts. Performing CPR immediately when a child's heart stops can make the difference between life and death. A University of Missouri-Kansas City study found that when a child goes into cardiac arrest, their odds of survival increase by more than 90% when CPR is initiated within the first 3 minutes. The findings highlight the urgent need for people to learn CPR and feel confident performing it right away. Well, thanks so much for getting your day started with us on Mountain News this morning at 5:07. Coming up, the Trump administration says they're focusing immigration arrests on dangerous criminals, but immigration advocates say due process is being violated.
And snow chances are in the forecast as we're heading through the next couple of days. I'll have more information on when up next.